Are we live yet?
Yep.
Okay, welcome Facebook Live and those of you here in Addison at the North Dallas Addison Business Growth Networkers. Today we have an exciting topic of discussion. We're going to be talking about the 7 foundations to start and scale your business to $100 million. That may seem like a lot of gap between maybe where you're at and where you're going. Jena's come back, she's full of it, as I say. She's come back full with her experience at Traffic and Conversion Summit, and basically Dean Grazioso is that how you pronounce it?
I have no
Grazioso?
idea.
Anyway, Dean
Graziosi.
Dean Graziosi covered a topic that she said just like punched her in the gut and everybody else in the room, and shared this, and I love that about Jena. She's a constant consumer of information. She brings it into her warfare marketing practice. She brings it into the groups that I've participated with, or she brings it into our relationship with the Business Growth Networkers, and so really she's constantly learning, and she's constantly figuring out how to apply things to her business and help other people do it in theirs, and especially in the area of marketing, especially digital marketing. So if I can get that out of my mouth. But anyway, so I'd like for you to strap in, because I know how Jena is, and there's going to be a whole lot of information in a very short period of time. That goes for you guys on Facebook Live. So if you're watching this video or you're here with us live, get out something to make notes on, because you're going to need it. And these are actually, one of the things I've gone to some conferences with Jena. She has become a resource to any room she walks into, because she goes through and is now capturing the takeaways from speakers in these, like Traffic and Conversion and other places, and become a resource to literally everybody in the room. I know she captured things, links, stuff there that she can put in one place that you can then take away and do something with. So with that, let's welcome Jena Apgar.
Thank you, David. So obviously I'm not Dean. Poor Dean had 6 different speaking spots at Traffic Conversion. Did you say you got to see this one?
Yes.
This is the only one I got to see, and this is the only one that wasn't directly about traffic conversion, marketing, and sales. And you could tell when he gave the speech, it was the one he was the most passionate about. So I know it says $100 million, and everyone's like, yeah, F you, Jena. That's not happening. I'm happy if I can just hit 6 figures right now. I'm happy if I can just make it to 200,000. He made it really clear this is how you start a business as well. It is how you make your first 100 G's. It's how you make your first 1 million, 100 million, or even a billion. And that every single person that has become successful that he's asked pretty much has the exact same things to say. So he did it in an hour. I'm going to scroll through my notes and try to bring it down to about 30 minutes. It comes down to 7 simple things, and I thought that was really great, because we're all expecting, like, how do we scale? What is the marketing tactic? What's the strategy? Like, we're all ready to take like super notes. He's like, put your notes away. All I want you to do is feel at least one thing that I'm saying. And you'll know which one that is, because it's going to be the one where it feels like someone stabbed you with a dagger in the heart. I said my stomach, you know, my heart's totally right there, right? But they are simple things, and they're the anchors. I think it's more of like a biblical thing. They always talk about building your castle on the sand. That doesn't work. This is kind of the same concept. If you don't have a strong concrete with rebar foundation, it's just not going to work. This is the foundation. The first one, this is all David right here, man. Protect your health, confidence, and your state. I feel like state kind of lost me. That's not one of those words that I think about, but it's relevant, I'm sure, somehow. One was figure out what builds your confidence and what tears it down.
Can you leave the header up there a little bit, please? Thank you.
This one?
No,
Oh, right there.
That one.
The idea here, and I feel like women, we are the worst about this one, is to protect your confidence at all cost. The same way that you might lock up your money, that you might use a financial advisor to protect your life savings, treat your confidence the same way, fiercely. and get rid of anything that tears it down. I can speak from personal experience. This is family members. I don't talk to my mom. If anybody saw my recent Facebook post, it was crazy, like crazy, crazy. And I'm okay with it at this point because it's been about 8 years since I've talked to her, because I was finally like, that crazy gotta go. You gotta get rid of the crazy people. Here's a fun one. This is one I was shocked that he actually said. How many people here read the news? Or read it, watch it, some form, get the news? Have you ever watched the news and felt better afterwards? Dean, over here, hasn't watched the news in 11 years. It's been several years every now and then I tiptoe and I get back, but there's nothing positive. The saying is literally, if it bleeds, it leads. There, you might find a feel-good story on Facebook, but if you actually go to CNN, if you actually go to Fox News, if you actually go to MSNBC or whatever, which one, there's never anything positive. Who got shot in Chicago? 76 murders this weekend. Okay, cheerful. How a kid died with, because of vaccines. They're just nothing good. So protecting even like your happiness throughout the day with things that seem ritualistically normal. Like it is normal to watch the news, but is that good for your confidence? Let's see. And part of this was play and offense. If you're playing offensively, you're able to set the stage, right? The moment that you're on defense, you're in a weaker position right up front. So part of that is if you go and you're like, I've got it, and then you go read the news or you read your Facebook or you read your email, and it's negativity. Are you on offense now or are you on defense? Are you framing the situation or are you now having to react to it? And part of that came in by creating a morning ritual. So I know this is part of something that David talks about all the time now as part of his Vision Challenge and his
Vision
Catalyst. But part of that is thinking, and this is where I thought of Scott. Scott will tell you that there's absolutely no reason to play small. It's not helping you, and it's not helping the people you help. So we got him talking back here about helping people take their side hustle to their main hustle and leave that corporate job with the boss they hate passionately, or that can fire them at any time, or drop or demote them, or drop their health benefits. How do you take them to being the hustler full-time? If they're truly helping people, playing small is not benefiting literally anybody. Not having your voice heard is not benefiting anybody. Being afraid to jump on Facebook Live because somebody might say something mean to you, it's not benefiting anybody. If I jump on Facebook Live and 100 people see this video, and one person says something terrible, I have literally helped 99 people, but what if I never Facebook Live again because one person came back up and said something terribly sexually explicit and made me feel bad or unsafe even? I can play small and never do it again. By the way, this has actually happened during a Facebook Live with Scott and I in the morning, and both of us, it was so bad, we were like blown away. We're like, Scott's tripping on his words, I'm tripping on, like, oh my God, like how do I make this go away? Because it just kept coming. But if I decide to play small and be like, Scott, I can't handle that. That's kind of scary. What if he finds my house? Then there's all sorts of people I'm no longer going to be able to help. Or I can play with confidence, I can play on the offense, and I can keep doing the things that build my business, that help my community, and play bigger, right? Why do I want to feed the trolls? Don't feed the trolls. Morning ritual. Be a machine. First thing in the morning, what does everybody do? First thing.
Wake up.
When you first open your eyes, what's the next thing?
Pick up the phone.
Coffee. Bathroom.
Okay, bathroom is good. Coffee's cool too.
Take your phone
But you
with
need to pick
you.
up the phone. If you're trying to play offense and you've got notifications that are sucky, you've just letted your phone, that's totally a word. You've just let your phone dictate your day and you're immediately on defense and you haven't even been awake for 3 seconds. Second one, besides ignore the phone, which takes no time. So for anybody who's like, I ain't got time for that, you save time by not looking at your phone. The next one is think about something that you're grateful for. Imagine being grateful for things. Now, has anybody ever tried to do a grateful, like one of those grateful journals or something? And you get to like number 31 and you're like, I'm out. I got my family, my kids, my house, my health, and all that stuff. I'm out. That's okay to repeat, right? And sometimes the only thing that you can be grateful for is today is I'm alive. I'm gonna roll my butt out of this bed and I'm going to eat food. Because some days are that bad. Really, some days are that bad. If anybody says they don't have one of those days, you're lying. There are days that are crappy. One of those, like, what is it, Mama said there'd be days like that. Be grateful for even the fact that you are alive and healthy. The fact that you were born was like winning a lottery. Anybody know how many eggs women have? It's like millions, right? And out of millions, out of all the ones that got flushed down the toilet, you're the one that won. Yay! Pat yourself on the back, you won the lottery, woohoo! And you survived. You got 2 working legs, you got arms, your voice works. Nobody in here has any major disabilities. You have all 5 major senses. You got to drive here. You can afford a car. You're probably in the top 1 to 5% economics in the entire world. That's winning the lottery, right? So be grateful for that. That literally took an extra 10 seconds. 10 seconds, not big and time consuming. Think of 3 wins you had yesterday. David and I have both talked about this. We never want to celebrate what we've actually accomplished. We could accomplish 20 great things, and the one thing we dwell about yesterday is the thing we didn't. Pick 3 things, spend 30 seconds, 10 seconds each, and take 3 things that you accomplished successfully the day before. Again, sometimes just be grateful for the stupid stuff you got done. I was depressed, I slept most of the day, but hey, I got up, I fed myself. I got dressed, even if it was in my jammies. I made a phone call to my mom that made her feel good. Any older moms in here where kids are forgetting about you and they don't want to talk to you anymore? Phone call that's not asking for money can mean a lot. Next 30 seconds. We haven't even filled 5 minutes yet. What are the 3 big wins that you want to accomplish today? You don't even have to write them down. Just mentally think about what are 3 things you want to win today. Hey, I need to make sure I call my Aunt Cindy. She's like my mom. I need to make sure she feels loved. I need to make sure that Caitlin's got something, whatever she needs for school, and I pick her up on time so she's not going crazy. And I need to, you know what, I know I hate this, but I need to make those 10 cold calls I've been meaning to make. Maybe call back those 2 clients that I've been avoiding, right? 3 easy wins. Here's where everyone else gets complicated. David likes to harp on it. I'm sure anybody who's ever had a fitness coach in here harps on it. Him in particular, because everyone wants to know what the rich guy does, right? He drinks his green smoothie with the MCT oil in it. Super healthy, because if your body's not fit, you're automatically on the defensive. Like, I think the commercial that showed it best for me was, I have an extra 10 pounds I could lose. And you don't think about it that much. Everyone's like, oh, you're so thin. What if that backpack was an extra 10 pounds I had to carry around and hike with? 10 pounds is a lot when you're going hiking and you're walking around all day. What if you're hiking around with an extra 50 pounds, 100 pounds? I know if I had to carry a 100-pound rucksack, which I've done before, it's actually illegal even in the military for me to do because my weight doesn't support an extra 100 pounds. It's hard. The only thing I failed on the, what do they call it, the MCAT or, no. What do you take to get into the military? Only test I flagged was I can't lift 50 pounds over my head. So how am I going to carry an extra 100 pounds on my shoulder? So weight is important. Health is important. If you are not eating the right foods, you all know y'all should be drinking more water and eating less candy. Exercise at 5:30 in the morning. How many people are waking up at 5:30 in the morning? Not me. I've been trying desperately the past 2 days and failed.
No thanks.
Oh, thanks. I get it. But again, if you were trying to structure your morning, it's about going on the offense, choosing how you want your morning to look like, and making an active decision to do that. He does yoga every day. The thing that he said he was taught, he didn't believe until he did it, was like, if you do yoga 3 days a week, you'll change your body. If you do it if you do it every single day, you'll change your life. And I've actually seen that happen in my own household for working out every single day. If your morning routine gets disrupted, that's when you feel frustrated. You don't know why you're upset the whole day. You just feel off and everything seems to be collapsing around you. Make your morning ritual, whatever that might be. It may not ever include waking up at 5:30. Whatever it's going to be, decide what it's going to be. Decide what makes you the happiest, the most confident, ready to go battle the day, and stick to it every single day. Weekends included. Anybody else have a different routine for the weekend? I know I do. I've got kids. I've got to get one out the door and have him at school on one time. I've got 3 kids in 3 different schools with 3 different drop-offs plus work and a podcast. The weekend comes, I'm like, I am sleeping till 11. Don't anybody wake me up. Y'all want to play video games? Y'all better shh. But I have in my own household seen the power of keeping the same schedule every single day, regardless. And then coming back, stop watching the news. Here's a David thing again. Crystal clear vision with absolute clarity. Crystal clear. If you don't know the target you're trying to hit, how the heck are you going to launch the arrow? I'll go here. That doesn't really matter if the target was over there. And it's not to say that you can't refine the position of the target or you might pivot. It's just saying you have to have a clear vision that's not based on some limitation that doesn't actually exist except in your head. That's where the confidence comes back into play. But you have to have that crystal clear vision. All too often we focus on what we don't want. So then what do we end up attracting? The only thing we're focusing is on we don't want. That's what we're telling everybody. So what ends up coming our way? What we don't want. Focusing on what you want changes it. The question, I cannot remember who he said this, but I've heard it said over and over again. If it was 1 year from now and it was the best year of your life, what would it look like? Does everybody know what that looks like? Best year, no limitations, no worst case scenario. I'm not saying that you're going to meet it and you should cry if you don't meet it. If it was the absolute best year of your life, your marriage, your kids, your finances, where you live, all the things that drag that confidence down, what would it look like 1 year from now if it was the absolute best year? Would you have like some 10-pack abs? I've got a friend right now who's tripping out because he can't get the last 2 of the 10-pack. I'm over here like, man, I just want my 6-pack back. I barely remember. I used to have a 10-pack. Imagine getting that back when you're like 40. Any moms in here with kids? Bodies change a little bit and we like to blame the kids. That's our fault. Our fault. You can get all that back and be healthier for it. Problems will happen. This was the next one I thought was really good. When something happens bad and you get all upset, don't be mad. That's your success tax. Anybody ever heard of success tax? I thought that was brilliant. What if everything that went wrong was just life's way of seeing if you were prepared for what was coming, if you deserved all the good stuff on the other end? There is absolutely, Scott and I have had this discussion. We've both had a ton of things go wrong in our lives. We've also pushed a lot of life's boundaries. We've gone and done successful things, and the more things you do every single day, bad things, just the law of averages and numbers are going to happen. If you sit on the sofa and you watch Netflix every day, yes, you'll have a decrease in bad things happening, but you won't have the good stuff either. So just accept that the bad stuff, the no's, the FU's on your cold calls, or your people complaining on LinkedIn because you're reaching out, or clients that don't always have the best day and are calling you and blaming you and writing bad reviews because they don't know how to use GPS, that's just a success tax. And if you look at the negatives that come across and you just see it as the success tax, everyone's got to pay the piper, government's getting their piece of your cash, it's just part of the tax you pay. What was it he said? Saying yes got you out of Egypt. Saying no will get you to the promised land. Has anybody heard that before? Sometimes you have to say yes to things, go do things, but at the point where you're busy and you have to protect your time, say no. That's what the vision and the clarity is for. When you know where you're going, say no a lot. Ask yourself, like on your own mission, on your own core values, on your own vision statement, and somebody presents you an opportunity, does this align with where I want to go? Nope. Sorry, you're out. I had to turn down an equity deal I really wanted because it was stupid. It was stupid. Sounds like a great idea, but if it didn't make sense, you've got to say no. Hey, do you want to speak on this podcast? Oh, you have 2 viewers and it has nothing to do with what I'm trying to accomplish. No, that's an hour of your time that you could have spent doing something that more closely aligned with your vision. Marketing stamina, number 3 out of 7. There are so many shiny objects out there. There are so many people that are going to tell you what it is you need to be doing. But there's going to be a lot of out there that fear is almost going to be worse that you should go do them. You're going to forget that what got you there. So one of the things he was talking about is he'll talk to someone who's at $1 million and they're wanting to know how to get to 10 million. And they're wanting to do all these shiny objects. And it's just as simple as this. What got you to $1 million? Sales and marketing. What's going to get you to 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion? Sales and marketing. That's not me self-promoting because I happen to be a marketer. That would not be him, sales and marketing. If Scott was here telling you to do sales, that's not a trick that we're trying to pitch you on. The only way you make money is sales and marketing. If you want to make more money, reach more people. If reaching out to 10 got you one sale, how many sales are you going to get reaching out to 100? 1,000. It's a numbers game. Sales and marketing. Oh, but I'd like to depend on referrals now. Fine. If you're okay with the income you have, if you're okay with the fact that that number might go down, Coke tried to stop advertising, and that's why we have Dr. Pepper and Pepsi. They saw an opening, they filled the gap, now they have competitors. Just because everyone's talking about what works, so marketers right now are talking about bots, let's go Facebook Messenger, let's do that. Some of the stuff that's working right now is picking up the phone. It's sending out a letter, handwritten address. My eye doctor, in a flood, like when you move someplace, that list gets sold that you bought a new house. I got a flood of mail. And you're like, chuck, chuck, chuck. You're just tossing it. Like, there's a trash can in my mail room. And it's full every Wednesday because that's when the mailers come in, right? So all this new mail is coming in. You know the one that got me to stop? Handwritten address. I don't know if it was something important. I know it's not, completely printed out. It doesn't seem like a mailing list. My husband got one from a bank. Thank God he opened it from Frost Bank because it had a handwritten address. Turns out somebody stole his identity. Fun stuff. But for the other one is an eye doctor we now have been using for 4 years. They sent a cold letter. It's the only one we opened. I was like, huh. It had a good offer. Did not ask me to sign up for their newsletter. It actually had an offer. That's the one I picked. One of my best clients right now. I got frustrated seeing all their junk mail. I wrote them an actual letter. I was absolutely hideous. I mean, I just audited their business and I was mean. I was like, you are ridiculous. This is terrible. Nobody reads this stuff. Sent that to them, and 6 months later, they hired us. Do the old school stuff. Remember what got you there. And if everyone's going that way, go that way. If everyone's doing Facebook bots, go network on LinkedIn. If LinkedIn's being flooded with garbage, provide value. If everyone's doing everything digitally, go analog. Not billboards, please goodness no, not radio ads. Do something that you can actually break through the noise with. That makes sense? Pick one thing and go deep with it. So everybody will ask me even personally, I don't have time to be on every platform. No kidding, Sherlock, because to do it well takes time. Don't try to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and stumble upon and Snapchat and Instagram, LinkedIn. Oh man, how many others are out there? There's a ton out there. Podcast, YouTube, everything. Take one, go hyper deep with it. I'm terrible at myself with this. Go super deep, build an exact following, build a process for it, hand it to someone else off once it's successful, and pick a different platform then. So pick one platform, pick one concept, cold calling, Facebook, whatever it is, go super deep with it, be consistent with it, and then move on to the next one. And then absolutely positively have more marketing stamina. When you're tired of marketing, keep doing it. Pay Your Success Test, that was its own, even though he talked about it up at that. If all hardship is just a qualifier to see if you are worthy of the success. If you think about the rock star, and you see all these people who are famous, they have this global following. My daughter just made me watch the Reputation tour by Taylor Swift. She was able to fill the football stadium out in Arlington twice, 2 days in a row. Packed house, sold out tickets, 2 days in a row. How many times do you think she played to an audience this side of people who didn't know her? There was a time it was just Taylor Swift and a guitar. There was 100 dive bars that she played in before she got famous. But then she was like, oh my God, this rise to fame, it's all so sudden. Forget those 10 years of trial and error and dive bars, right? So your success, you've got to play that success tax. It's not anything, nothing is instantaneous. That's what we look at when we do content. Content's not, it's not going to play fast. It's not the quick win. It's a 6 to 12 month play with long-term success. So think about the things that are going to, what is your success tax that you're paying now, and how can you move forward? What is your ultimate driving force and your why? So David covers this too. I call it, like I tell you, if you're not crying, you're doing it wrong. So why is it you're doing the business that you're in? I'm sure you've all got an answer. I want you to think about it in your heads right now. And once you have that answer, that BS answer, I want you to ask, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? To every single answer, ask yourself why until you cry. So maybe here, maybe not the place to do it because nobody wants to see everybody else to see them cry. But if you're not crying, if your face is not red, you're doing this one wrong. And then the other thing that David gets all the time is, how do I stay motivated? You don't. Motivation stinks. Motivation is good while you're in the room. You might get it an extra 3 days if you're like super pumped up and they've done all sorts of neurolinguistic programming techniques on you, and you've got the guru chanting and they've got your hands in the air and they're doing all sorts of tactics to make you really feel something deeply. But it has no lasting power if you have no why. The key to keeping going, motivation, is having a why that matters so deeply that failure's not an option. Moms and parents, we do this with our kids. Failure's not an option. But we don't really understand why we do it in business. And every single person's why is going to be slightly different. But I'm thinking, generally speaking, most people's why is going to fall into a handful of categories. Power of your thoughts. This was another fun one. Your thoughts lie to you. How many people have been absolutely awful to themselves? Somebody can tell you stuff positive 100 single times a day, and when you get home at the end of the day and you look in the mirror, you're like, I suck. I'm not doing this enough. You're all the little things. You're like, no, I walked in that room and Jeff didn't say hi to me. Jeff hates me. So here we have sweet little Virginia thinking Jeff hates her because he didn't shake her hand. Maybe Jeff was just having a bad day and he's really stressed out because he got into a car wreck before. Or where we had the lady in here a couple weeks ago, she literally stopped on the way on a horrendous car wreck and helped save somebody's got life who was like drowning in a pool of his own blood and water. So maybe she didn't say hi because she's a little tapped out, right? So, but our brain does this funny thing where it lies to us, right? And tells us all the worst things, the worst possible case scenario, and that's what we run with. And going back to the first one, now we're on the defensive instead of playing on the offensive. One of the great ways he did this, how many people have ever spoken on a stage of some sort? All right, most people. Virginia, I know you're in it. Would you accept that there's two different versions of you? There's the one that's sitting right here in the audience, and then there's the version if I put you up on stage, it's a completely different person. Like you have a different voice, you have a different mannerisms, there's a different voice in your head, right? Imagine having that person play against the person that would be in the audience. So every time the person is like, man, Jeff doesn't like me, the speaker's like, bullshit! Shut up, get up there, talk, go say hi to Jeff instead of waiting for him to come to you. That seem fair? Have two people in your head. You know they're already up there. Just make the person that's more confident, make that speaker voice your main voice. And make sure they check each other. So when that other one's getting too loud, the speaker's like, ish, which, shut up. Shut up and sit down. We don't need you today. Another one is the most impactful advice is bad advice. Right? Anybody ever gotten some bad advice? It sounds really good. I've heard some of the best sales pitches. People giving you bad advice and telling you to play small. Hey, you know what, Randy, you shouldn't do that. You know, if you do a Facebook Live, that may not be your right audience. You know, maybe you shouldn't do that. They might not think that you're not really great on camera, so it's gonna make you look bad.
Bullshit.
You might say bullshit, but there's going to be something. There are people in your own family who are telling you not to do something because you may fail. Hey, you shouldn't do that opportunity on LinkedIn because people are, they may not like being pitched on LinkedIn. Okay. My client up in Frisco, packed seats. They went from 23 students to 76 students in about a year and a half. They were able to double in 5 weeks. Oh my God, Jena, we got this reply. The emails are just a little too aggressive. Wait a second, your school just doubled in 5 weeks and you're worried about the one that's complaining? Screw them. Not your client. If they really wanted to be in your school, they'd already picked up the tour. They're obviously just not that into you, and that's okay. But don't shut down the marketing that's working because one person complained. How many people have gotten relationship advice for your marriage from somebody who's single?
Or divorced.
Or divorced.
Yes.
I will
6
go
times.
say, I need advice on this situation with my husband on a mom group, and I'm always shocked at how many moms are like, divorce him. To like every problem a mom presents, I'm like, whoa, you don't know his side of the story. You don't know if she's crazy. Like, you don't know anything. How about seek a counselor? Don't go telling her to get divorced. Are you married? How long have you been married? Oh, I divorced last year. Oh no, I'm a single mom. I've never been married. Girl, you don't need to be giving somebody advice who's been married for 10 years. That's a different set of skills, right? How many people have taken business advice from somebody who has not accomplished anything in business? Y'all ain't raising y'all hands. I know y'all are lying. Because people give advice all the time, and they've not actually done the thing they're telling you to do.
Well, I've heard the advice, I haven't taken it. I'd like to check them out.
Politely listen.
Politely listen. This is why groups, when you think about masterminds in the group that you're actually in, and this is something that he said, have value. Because when somebody's telling you something negative, you can go to a group and say, hey, somebody said this, what do you think? Like Business Growth Network actually has a Facebook group. We don't actually use it a lot. We should. That's my problem. But when you can go somewhere to a group, when you can come to some place like this and say, hey, somebody gave me a review on my business that was negative. Is this an issue? Should I go tell the business owner, like, oh my God, light up the sky? Now, I'll be honest, I can't do that. There's rules in Addison. You actually can't light it up like that. But you can get some feedback from a group of people who actually care about you and who are running businesses to see what they say. And even then, if I asked a poll right here, what's the best way for my business to get leads? That doesn't mean that all of y'all guys are qualified. So even I should take all the advice given and run it through a filter. If I ask Dean, what's the best way for me to get leads in my business? He might say something. That doesn't mean it's right. Am I definitely going to consider it more? But if his method is a little old school or it doesn't mix with my avatar, that doesn't make it right. If it doesn't fit my personality, that's not going to be. If somebody told me to be super sweet, that's not going to work in my business. Randy's over here. I get the best business. I close more deals when I'm hyper direct and I tell a CEO, you suck. It's sucking. So figure out what works with you. Network with people that are worth networking with. and tell the little voice that's telling you all the bad shit to go fuck off. You're laughing, it's true. Use some really strong taboo language and tell it to go fuck off. Because they're not serving you, and you playing small is not working. Fair enough? Any questions?
Fair enough.
Brilliant.
Dead silence.
Good advice.
Great.
Like I said, I'm not Dean, but
No questions. Okay. Well,
I don't know what the other three are.
I was even under
you
time.
did great. Right. Yeah. Let's give her another
I
hand.
want to know what the other three are. Seven.
And you only
Number
said
seven.
the F word
It's all the big ones.
twice in the same spot, too.
Yeah.
Because the last one said number 4. It didn't. I never saw something that said number 5, 6, or 7.
Oh, I didn't number them all.
Ah, well that'll help.
They were my notes, so I take these notes in real time.
Yeah, she does a great job. Like I said, in these conferences and stuff. I like I said, went to one in Austin, and she's become a resource to the room full of people, and they're like, can you send me your notes?
Yeah. So I got VIP status. The partners were not supposed to get VIP at the front of the room status. We got everything else VIP. We could not sit at the front of the room. They didn't even tell me. I just got it. And I was like, thank you, Marcus, because I know who had to hook me up. And he was like, well, you're going to take notes.
That's what those are the 7.
I've literally stood up in front of 200 people and said, the notes are here. Go get them. They just expect it now. It's the hashtag Jenna's notes.
Yeah, and that's actually extremely important.
That's brilliant.
I will give you, it's a good tactic, but if you remember, if you were here last week, one of the things I talked about when we talk about networking, regardless of what the value you bring to the room, make sure you know what it is and make sure you're committed to it. And guess what? Everybody in the room will figure out what you bring to this network, and that will dramatically improve your return on investment for the time that you spend with any networking group, whether it's here, Richardson Point Network, or whatever you do. If you're viewing it as an investment, she invested her time. She's at this conference, she picked up all this great information, and now she's taken that, which she acquired, and in her own way, she has shared that with us.
Consistently.
Yes, and that is an investment, whether you appreciate it or understand it or not. That's an investment that we just made in each other. So that's very powerful. I don't want you to lose the general with the specific. The specific is great, but you may not be the best note taker. You may not know anything about marketing. You may not, but you are unique and you have unique value.
It also doesn't mean don't go to events.
Right.
Because none of us have learned what you learned there.
Right. Right.
It's
So,
expensive
yeah. Oh, yeah.
ticket.
And that's what I
It's
always.
an expensive hotel.
Yeah. Well, Jeff's heard this because I think I said it. You were there Friday. I think I said it as we did a workshop on Friday, and the speaker we're going through, and he did a great job. It loses a little bit in Facebook Live. I mean, it's hard to get that. You know, when you're in, you can never get secondhand what you get when you're in the room.
You can't share, it's hard to share the
Right.
frustration that we were experiencing.
Yeah, right.
Well,
So-
there's an energy, there's
Yeah.
something Dean brings that I could never replicate.
Right,
Reading it is certainly never the same as
Right.
being in the room.
right,
It's a nice compliment.
yeah. So anyway, all I'm saying is that's one of the power. That's a great takeaway if you're developing or improving or growing in your networking. Is again, look for things in this group and other groups that you're part of that you always bring. You'll become known for that, and your network will pay you back. And it's just like the guys in the financial area. You invest that day in and day out. What's it do, right? It compounds.
What is it? Being the guy that always networks people together, being the photographer, taking pictures.
Yeah, I know people that are always connected. I mean, one of the things is by virtue of my role in the network, I get calls every day from people saying, hey, I lost my list. Where's this person? Who was the guy that was here that did this? I didn't set out to do that. but because I've invested time and energy in trying to do it. So and it may be a bunch of different things, but we all have, right, a unique value that we bring into the room. And we're all going to a unique destination, and we're here for a unique purpose. So just figure out what that is when you walk into the room, and you'll be one of the most powerful people in the room. Okay, any thank yous? Any
Thank yous and announcements.
thank yous and announcements? Jeff, you got
Yes.
anything?
Well, this Friday is the monthly skill builder lunch for Speaker Co-op. So if you're speaking for business or you're thinking of speaking for business, skip BGN.